How you doing, guys? Big Mate Dan Skull back once again with another video for you. Today we're talking through the pages of issue 2 of Combat Patrol magazine. This second instalment of Combat Patrol is a little more expensive than the first at £6.99 and comes with 3 Von Ryan's Leapers. To buy these miniatures direct from Games Workshop, it will be £30, so based on the cover price of the mag, that's a whopping £23 saving. If you were just looking to add a unit or two to your army, or if you want some nids for kit bashing, this is a fantastic issue to pick up. However, as we discussed when looking through issue 1 in the previous video, you can't really assess the value of the magazine one issue at a time, because most of the models we receive through subscribing come in one of 9 combat patrols, which helps you save a little money in and of themselves. Over the first 2 pages we get the how to build instructions for the Von Ryan's Leapers, which come with this issue. Each model comes with about 9 parts, and from what friends who've already built them told me, they're pretty fiddly, so make sure you pay close attention to those instructions. I plan on recording myself building my own, so keep an eye out for that video. It may help newer hobbyists who run into problems here and there. On the 2 sides of the following leaf of the magazine, we get a short introduction of what to expect from the how to paint sections of the upcoming issues. We get a short introduction to the Citadel paints and a starter brush which should come with issue 4, as well as tips like keeping an eye out for keywords that will be shown in bold in future technique guides. The Imperium is the focus of the next page. We get some lovely atmospheric artwork depicting what looks to be a hive city, where vast spires tower above the choking smog of industry below. If you're completely new to Warhammer 40k universe, this is the kind of thing that really sets the scene. Most people in the Imperium live on top of one another in huge hive cities. Think something like the mega cities of Judge Dredd, but on a larger scale. The text goes on to tell us the Imperium is the greatest and most powerful empire humanity has ever known. Through zealotry and fervent belief, it claims dominion over 1 million worlds. Superstition and the hatred of the other is definitely what holds the Imperium together. If you ask me, it wouldn't be a very nice place to live at all. Over the page we get a bit of information on the Tyranid Vanguard swarms, delving into the stealthy hunter-killer style nids that are often the first to make planetfall and infiltrate a planet's defences. Gene stealers, lictors and ripper swarms are amongst the organisms you'll find in the vanguard of a Tyranid invasion, and life forms such as Von Ryan's Leapers that come with this issue employ ambush tactics to catch their prey off guard. Next it's onto the invasion swarms. In short, there's a bug for every barrier. The organisms that the Tyranids use on invading a planet depend partly on what defences they face. A heavily fortified world may see the release of armour-crushing carnifexes or tunnelling beasts to circumvent defences, for example. This section also introduces us to some of the more common swarm beasts of the Tyranids, termagants and hormagaunts. Creepy little critters, the former of which wield a parasitic life form as a ballistic weapon. The latter, lethal talons that slash at opponents in deadly combat. Next, it's onto the models we get in this issue, the Von Ryan's Leapers. Once again, there's a D3 chart with some name suggestions for the unit. I really embrace the fact that they're trying to help you get into the game, becoming more invested in your units by giving them names. Fear not though, there's an option later in the issue to get a greater variety of names if you don't like any of these suggestions. On the reverse of this page, we get the data sheet for the unit, key to playing games of Warhammer 40k. Boasting an impressive 6 attacks in melee, enemies would be wise to deal with this unit before it gets too close. Easier said than done when they've got a 10-inch move. Over the page, we see the aforementioned naming table, with effectively 36 forenames and 36 surnames to match. You just have to roll 2d6 for the first chart and likewise for the second. For example, if you roll a 1 and a 4 on the first chart, and a 5 and a 3 on the second, you'll end up with the name The Silent End. It's good to point out though, there's absolutely nothing stopping you picking the names you like most from those provided, or even coming up with something cool yourself. The final section of this magazine provides us with more narrative setup for a battle, and a mission in which to use our new Tyranid models. There are some handy photo diagrams to help explain the concept of multiple model units and how they work in combat. Predator and Prey is this week's mission. The name of the mission may be a little deceptive if you ask me. There's no element of hunter and hunted in this mission, and there's good reason for that. They're assuming you may be totally new to Warhammer, so they're really holding your hand through the combat phase, presumably so you can have a fuller understanding of it, once the armies being used are a little larger. So the setup is basically drop the models in the middle of the battlefield and jump straight into combat. There's no need for charging or moving your models at all. The next few pages talk you through the hit and wound rolls of the Tyranids, followed by Space Marine saving rolls, and then, assuming the captain is still alive, the tables are turned and he swings his sword at the Nids. The sequence is repeated until one of the units has 0 wounds remaining. My money's on the character for this one. I think he is likely to prove too tough a target for the Tyranids to crack. Once again, the inner back cover of the mag, we get a look at what's to come throughout the magazine run, plus some handy wound markers. On the back page we see what's on the way in issues 3 and 4. Next week the Marines are reinforced with 5 Infernus Marines. I'm sure that'll help them deal with some of the bigger units to come for the Tyranids. The following issue will be our first painting issue with a trio of paints and a starter brush. MacLeod Blue as is standard now for these magazines, Baroque Noir Burgundy and Wraithbone, which is a colour I always find useful. So join me next week to see what we can learn about the models to come and the gameplay that comes with them. Until then, I'll see you on the battlefield.